This right here is WrestleMania to you, but this is for me.
You are going to be completely distracted during the whole
I'll be
thing.
fine. If it becomes an issue, turn it off.
It's the fucking Masters, dude. It's golf. It's boring.
No, it's not. You know what? And wrestling's fucking fake.
Okay.
It's real to me, damn it.
Oh, hello and welcome to another episode of $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast, a rugby team, whatever we're called. Today we're actually going to talk a little bit about rugby because we had a very exciting weekend. Usually we start with a little pro wrestling and kind of talking about it. Good Lord, actually we can talk about professional wrestling too because since the last time we recorded, everything has happened. We usually like to keep this show as a show that's more trying to aim towards the casual fans or people that maybe have just only dipped their toe into professional wrestling. We had WrestleMania last weekend.
So much wrestling.
Awesome event.
So much
Very
wrestling.
great.
Tolbert fell asleep by
Only-
hour 2.
Only for like 2 minutes.
It was more like hour 4.
Yeah, it was more like.
But
hour
you know
4.
what? But
Hour 4 of 7.
you brought it up. He woke up for every high spot.
I don't understand how he did that. Like, so he would be like, we took a picture of him. You know, we don't want to make him out to be the stoner character of our show, but because his fiance was not very happy with that. What did she say to you, Tolbert?
I guess it was like it was almost like a commentary on Dark Side of the Ring because I just finised watching that.
Oh, so
didn't
she
want
thinks
to-
you're
she
like a
didn't want to-
1980s wrestler
she
culture
didn't
right
want to want me to live out my character.
Don't live your character.
and, like die. I guess she has the best intentions. She's got a heart of gold. So.
She does.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Tolbert's beautiful fiance.
Way to bring it back, Tolbert.
So, with that being said, Tolbert, smoked a little Indian cigarettes before a couple of the matches, and then I could see his eyelids like going down like they were in a sleeper hold as the hours went on. They were getting a little puffier and a little more closed.
It was a marathon.
But somehow he was able to wake up for every single high spot. Like if somebody did like a crazy move, like he'd be like, "Oh God, oh that was awesome! Did you guys see that?" And then I looked, and then Tolbert was
Wide
asleep.
awake.
I didn't know. No, like
It's my one special power. I can actually feel it building, and then I wake up just in time.
and then you fall back asleep immediately.
Yeah.
I Tolbert, if only I had a little bit of that chutzpah that you carry along
It
with
was
you.
it was a long weekend. Sundays are rough to start with.
Yeah,
Just because
as
you-
we're
As we
recording
can
at 10
see.
o'clock because Big Mike wants to watch some golf all day.
Well, it was supposed to be on in the afternoon, so we record in the morning, and I'm good. And then they pushed it to the morning, and now we're watching golf and recording a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, well, we've got golf in the background, and Mike isn't even making eye contact with any of us. He's just half-ass like talking to us.
When you
about
got as much money on the line as I do,
You've got $1 for
I've got $7 in bets, potential payout.
That's
Elliot's
Elliot's
college.
tuition.
$50 bucks.
Yeah, Elliot's college fund.
Hey man, you win some.
It's on the line.
You win some.
my God.
My God.
All right, so anyway, so we had a big weekend last weekend of professional wrestling. This weekend, we had a big rugby match. We're in the playoffs right now, and we had a big match yesterday against a team called Clayton, out of Clayton, North Carolina. And as we beat them yesterday, a part happened. Handedly beat them. We had one of our members score their very first try.
Oh, yes.
That was me.
Tolbert scored his very first try in that matchup.
Yeah, in style, I might add, which it might have been a little unnecessary, but I just was scared I was going to get crushed as Palmer pitched me that
Dude, I was
ball.
right behind you. You would have been fine.
I know, but I did a kind of over the top rope dive.
You go from like 15
Suicide
feet out.
dive.
And I actually thought I didn't make it, So I didn't know if I scored or not, and I was like terrified because I've seen guys do it. I've seen it happen.
In fact, one of our own guys have done that before.
Yeah. So I thought I'd put it down on the 5-meter line, which is 5 meters out from the try zone for you non-rugby folks out there. But stood up in a panic, but then realized I was in, and I was good.
I missed the whole thing. I was laying face first in the dirt.
Yeah, and I
Were
think
you?
Cookie was
Yeah,
concussed most of the
and
match.
I secured the
Slightly
ball.
concussed.
I secured the ball so that Tolbert could have the glory.
Cookie also, we know for a fact at least that was his second concussion after the story he told last week about his box bag.
At least.
So at least we're on concussion number 2 for CTE Cookie over there.
Yes, absolutely. Trying to get a ball and someone landed right on top of my... Someone gave me the atomic leg drop by Hulk Hogan. That's what that was.
Do you even remember what happened?
Let's not talk about that.
You don't remember what happened?
I'm just kidding.
I literally
I do
looked at
remember what
Cookie
happened.
and he said, I hit my head. I'm like, you were 8 and you had a concussion. Now you got another one.
Yeah, I
gotta pull you out, Cook.
I do remember what
I
happened.
gotta put Varnum in for you.
The sir had to ask me a bunch of questions. I remember.
And
all
you're
the
like,
no. Who do you play for?
Cookie
UNCW.
couldn't move half his body.
oh my god. So, anyways, we had that. We also warmed up. I had a big hand in what our warm up music was yesterday.
Oh, that's what did it. That's
Dude,
what
100%.
did it, man.
That's
I
what
had the
charged us
game
all up.
playing in my head the entire match.
I love that our rugby team has kind of adopted that. Like
The wrestling game.
they're all not wrestling fans, and they all probably hate wrestling, but they nurture our love for professional wrestling at least. So they're okay for us to warm up to the Undertaker's theme song or to the greatest theme song of all time, "I Walk Alone" by
Oh, God.
Batista's.
That gets everybody pumped.
I will
So
tell
cool.
you though, CM Punk's theme song did really
Cult
get
of
us going.
personality?
I did have a little bit of a chub when that was playing.
It was like an 80s montage.
Oh, my God.
Like warming up for the game.
We snack on danger, dine on death.
Today, out during the tie-up, our very first segment, I had originally planned for us to talk about wrestling video games, but Mike's like, one, didn't play a lot of video games growing up.
I was
Two.
outside.
Two, Mike also claims that he was outside all the time.
Guys, I played every single video game.
I have
every
all of them
single
right
video
now.
game. As a kid, I played every single WWE game.
Now Cookie's very disappointed because he's
Yeah,
got
I'm
all
sorry.
these like notes.
My mother's famous saying was, like, because we'd have computers or whatever, she's like, it's not a spectator sport. So my brother was a big nerd. He's always on the stuff. I had to go outside.
on the stuff, he's
Well,
on
the
the
computer,
gas.
the computer or whatever it was. I just wasn't allowed to sit and watch him play that stuff. So,
Wow.
because I don't know, man. My parents wanted me outside breaking sticks on trees.
Breaking sticks on trees.
Is that what you used to do as a kid?
That's what I did.
All right, so
A
for the
lot.
people that did play video games, Tolbert, Cookie, and Aaron, we played a lot of the N64 were the greatest video games, correct?
Those were great. Mine memories go all the way back to Super NES. There was a Royal Rumble game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was badass. Me and my buddies played that for hours.
So there was a game I remember. We were on vacation to the mountains. We went to Chimney Rock as a family. The Varnum family went to Chimney Rock, and there was a game called WrestleFest, and it is a WWF game. And I remember walking by this. They had an arcade. This is back when hotels had arcades, which was a cool time because as a kid, you knew at least you could walk to the arcade and not have to spend the whole time with your parents who wanted to watch episodes of Designing Women on the Lifetime channel. So I walked by it, and all I remember is animated version of Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, cutting a promo saying they dine on disaster and all that stuff. And I remember like walking by and I'm like, this is so cool. I have to play this video game. And I ended up playing it. Very good game. Professional wrestling video games. That was like the peak of professional wrestling video games, I think. It looks like an animated cartoon. And for 6-year-old Aaron, chef
That
kiss.
was great. That NES game, I was always the Road Warriors on that Super WrestleMania. or not wrestling, Royal Rumble NES game.
Road
NES.
Warriors were
It was
the
great.
best. They
They were
come
great.
out with spikes on their pads.
But I remember that arcade game. I actually worked in an arcade. It was my first job.
No
ever.
shit,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
You don't seem like an arcade
uh,
person,
fun,
like
fun,
being a
fun.
stoner in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
That's where I learned to smoke weed. Was working at an arcade. That's where I learned what it was all about.
Rolling
it was great.
quarters and rolling joints.
There it is.
More like making grab bongs in the tech room.
Now, for me, the Attitude Era was the best era in the sport of wrestling, and that game WWF Attitude was one of the first games I ever played and enjoyed, and I played that until I think I broke the disc somehow. I don't know.
So
how
you had it
I
on
did.
PlayStation?
I had it on PlayStation. Yeah, going back to the old gray PlayStation, it looked like a spaceship.
Oh, top
almost.
loading little.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It took 45 minutes for the game to load.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I remember that stand-up game. We actually had it in the arcade. We had a WrestleMania stand-up game, I do believe, as well.
That one was a good one.
Yeah, you a little four-person stand-up arcade game.
So one of my very first professional wrestling games that I ever played as a kid was it's just called Pro Wrestling. It's on NES.
Oh, okay. Pro wrestling.
And it's not put on by any professional wrestling group. They come up with their own
Knockoff
characters. Yeah, there was a character called the Amazon, and he was kind of like the Amazon was kind of the bad guy. He would jump and bite people's heads like Terry Funk. And there was another character called Starman who looked like a luchador. So if you follow like John Cena's like Instagram account, he references that stuff a lot too. And now that game has now been put on the Switch, and I've been playing the shit out of it again. I love that game so much. It's got like a little camera guy like running back and
We have to
forth.
play that. We have to play some. What's it called?
Pro wrestling.
That's it.
Yeah.
So is there a character called like the Crypt Keeper and he's like the Undertaker, or like how does this work out?
No, this was actually before that. All right, so there. We got our pro wrestling video games out of the way.
Okay.
So now we can talk about what Mike wants to talk about.
And that's golf.
And that's the Masters. How much money he
This
put.
time-
The second
Tiger
thing he
has
wants to talk
bogeyed
about.
2 holes in a row, and he's 3 shots down. I'm not very happy right now.
I'm not going to get my dollar back.
We're going into par 3, number 6, downhill. It's gonna be great.
I just
That
wanted
was-
to add something. It was a cool time to be alive as a kid, like you were saying, with the arcade games, all the stuff they marketed to us as
Yeah.
kids to actually.
Well, they
keep
marketed
pushing.
to our parents
Well,
to
yeah,
buy
yeah,
for
yeah.
us.
But I think that's what gave wrestling a big push in that time.
It really
as well,
did.
you know,
And
the
professional
merchandise.
wrestling, it translated very well to video games.
Yeah, for sure.
It translated very well to a marketing thing because it's a real life cartoon, a real life comic book. Something just happened that made Mike like really distracted about the Masters.
You guys got back to the video game thing, so I'm back
Yeah,
to the
he's,
golf
he's
thing.
out. He's out.
Anyways,
That.
so Dark Side of the Ring. We watched,
Oh.
at least all of us have watched the very first episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes.
The Bruiser Brody one.
Awesome.
Have any of
chills.
you guys watched the Macho Man? I know Tolbert watched about half of it.
I did not know.
I have not watched it, but I watched this Cream of the Crop promo, and I just want to say
Cream
that
of the
I'm
crop.
cream
Cream of the crop.
There's
hilarious.
so many funny promos and moments in that. Oh my god.
So, So, the very first episode we watched it, it's about Bruiser Brody. And Cookie actually has a match with Bruiser Brody coming up in segment what are segment
Three.
three of our show. And so Bruiser Brody, this kind of wild man, definitely lived his gimmick in the on the show. He was killed in Puerto Rico, backstage in the locker room.
Right before the
Before the match.
Right.
Right
match even
before
started.
the matches started. So tell me, like, when you guys watch Dark Side of the Ring, I know a lot of you, I know maybe you didn't know what happened, or you may have known, like, kind of what happened. When you were able to see it the way that they presented it, it's pretty interesting, right?
Oh, dude, it gave me chills. Like I put it on to do some chores around the kitchen, and I was like expected to halfway watch it. And as soon as I put it on, as soon as the old school wrestlers started talking, I just like stopped and then sat down. And then as I got into the story, when they get into the locker room story, who's I forget who's
Tony Atlas.
Yeah, Tony Atlas is telling the story how he pretty much witnessed it, and it'll give you chills. It's crazy the way he describes it.
And it's like, What, it was 1988, right?
I don't know the year. I think it sounds
88
about right.
is July 88.
So, like, 88, you don't expect somebody to get off scot-free with fucking murder.
No.
And,
Yeah.
like, and with witnesses and all this sort of stuff. And he fucking shanked him twice.
Oh, dude.
It's Puerto Rico, and I think that was the big thing because it was in
and that's where they hit on. It's like, they go to the ER, and the guy's like, well, it's a stabbing. There's stabbings all the time in Puerto Rico. It's like, if he's in America, they get him back real quick because his intestines are hanging out
He's
of his
literally
stomach
holding his intestines in.
the whole fucking time.
And
hours,
kayfabe
hours.
was still a thing, so they thought that it was fake.
Dude, yeah, that's what they mentioned. All the Puerto Ricans thought it was a
A
work.
bit. They thought it was a. They thought, yeah, it was a bit. It was like a promo or something like that.
That's insane.
Even the police thought it was work.
And he is a mountain of a man. He's like 6'7", 350
he
pounds.
is
whatever.
a huge
He's
guy.
lean.
Yeah,
He's
so-
not fat. He's not like when it's just jacked up.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
exactly. So,
Yeah, I was like tearing up, and they're like, and he held the picture of his son the whole
Yeah,
time,
dude.
and I'm like, oh my
Well,
god.
and then what was the guy who took him to the hospital?
That was Tony
Tony
Atlas.
Atlas.
So Tony Atlas leaves him in the hospital to go and like do his match.
goes and wrestles.
because the doctor said he was stable and he'd be fine, and then he fucking dies by himself in fucking Puerto Rico. It's so sad.
And then they had the wrestling match still
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then
Never-
and that's what Tony Atlas like.
It's like, what the fuck
Never
is going on?
Is
He gets
wrestling
back.
whoever he was
Never
wrestling,
stopped the show.
and the guy who was wrestling was like, "Fuck this," and just like left
was
the
actually
ring.
He was the
He's
Sheik,
Iron
the original
Sheik.
Sheik,
Dude,
the
no,
original
it was
Sheik.
Sheik.
That
That we were
was the
talking
one that
about
we
last
watched
week.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, he like immediately goes to the locker room and starts beating somebody's ass.
Yeah. The original Sheik just walked out of his match, and
Well, he already he was. And yeah, they just ended the match. He just walked out.
how insane is that?
Crazy.
it's bizarre.
And,
It's completely
and
bizarre.
I think as the weeks go on, we've got some really cool episodes coming up for that show. First week, Macho Man, then Bruiser. Next week, I think, is about the Montreal Screwjob. There's one coming up that I'm really excited about. It's about a wrestler named Gino Hernandez. He was a kind of like a Hispanic Ric Flair in the 1980s. Died of a drug overdose. But they think that it's actually, they think it was a murder. Like all the, because he had never done all this stuff. And I think that's going to be a really fun one to talk to. And that week I'm going to assign.
Fun. You talking about these dark
I
things?
mean, like,
say fun.
Always.
That's the second time in 2 weeks.
I'm morbid.
I think speaking of dark things, the fact that at the very end they said Invader #1 is doing parties, like doing birthday
Yeah,
parties.
children's birthday parties.
Children's birthday parties and advertising on Facebook. I think that was the cringiest thing. I was just like, oh, why?
That guy's
A
still
murderer.
a thing.
He's a murderer.
He's a murderer.
Dude, also, the Macho Man one, I was looking, I follow Dark Side of the Ring on Instagram. Hulk Hogan tweeted about watching that episode, and he says, it's very interesting. I rated a 5 out of 10 because, like, I apparently because they interviewed his wife and not
Yeah, and
his
not him.
ex-wife and not him.
Yeah, but
And then you see they reply to the tweet, and they're like, dude, we tried to interview you like 4 times, and you declined it every single time. They're like, oh.
What you mean, brother?
Yeah, brother. They probably wouldn't pay him enough.
look, Terry probably took too many shots to the head. He just forgot. CTE.
Yeah, CTE, cookie.
This podcast is brought to you by
CTE. All 4 of us have it. All right, so our very first segment tonight, or our second segment, but our very first match of the evening. Hopefully you guys have watched it. This one was suggested to us by the wonderful Travis Thornton. He, our guy who does all of our awesome artwork for our podcast. Our first matchup of the evening. It is a WrestleMania matchup between Ric Flair and Randy Macho Man Savage. Big Mike, tell us a little bit about this matchup. First off, Mike, this is your second Ric Flair match. Your first Ric Flair match you absolutely shat on. Secondly, do you actually appreciate Ric Flair after this matchup?
A little bit more, yes. So I want to say thank you, Travis, for bringing me what Aaron couldn't, which was an entertaining Ric Flair match.
I'm short.
So, I leaps and bounds better than the Kerry Von Erich match.
It's also a WrestleMania match.
It's a WrestleMania, like Ric Flair, Macho Man are like into, like, I don't know, the prime or whatever. I was super entertained because it cuts to it. They're cutting promos. They're clear. They're concise, and they got me bought in.
And it's also two of the greatest
Promo
guys
guy.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mic.
And that's where
Ever.
And that's where I was super excited because I don't know any of the background, but they brought it in a way that I understood why they were about to beat each other's ass, and it's because Rick started saying that he used to date Randy's wife,
Elizabeth, correct.
Elizabeth, and he brings up these like terribly photoshopped pictures from the. I mean, it's actual Photoshop in the '80s. They're the one like Rick's like standing next to the horse and he's got a grin, and like clearly like Elizabeth had a picture taken with this horse, and then Rick's just like fake touching it.
They like literally cut him out of a picture and pasted it.
It was obnoxious, but then like he teases that he's got this centerfold picture that he's going to reveal after the match, and it comes back later where the announcer is just on it and he wants to see it and he just won't stop. And I don't know who that guy
It's
was.
Bobby the
Bobby
Brain.
the Brain, yeah.
I'll just say it now. He was a good announcer, but he was just way too excited and he was screaming the entire time.
Oh, I love Bobby though.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
So it didn't take me out of it. So that was good. You know, they do their entrances. You get ready. It's quick pace early because these two hate each other. Randy's trying to beat Rick's ass.
Mention who his manager was during this matchup.
Who?
Ric Flair's manager.
Was that? What's his name?
Mr. Perfect.
Mr.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So they. I mean, together they did really well. So it's good pace. They're a little bit older, both of them, during this match. I mean, not like super old, but
Kurt's probably in his third. He's probably my age when this happened. He had gone through.
The manager.
oh,
Kurt is Mr. Perfect.
I didn't care about him. I was talking about Rick and Randy.
Well, okay. So Randy's also in his 30s at this point. Rick's probably early 40s at this point, maybe late
Okay.
30s. I mean, they have both been in the business for a while.
Yeah,
at
and that's
this
what.
point.
So I made a note. They have a couple big spots where they go outside the ring. Like one,
yeah.
Rick flips over the top rope and just eats it. And so I was pretty impressed that they were like willing to kind of put that kind of effort in. And I know it's WrestleMania, but I was just happy with it. What else?
Get it together.
I'm going through my notes, man.
Get it together. You're too busy watching the match.
As Tiger
just missed the birdie putt that I told said he was
Tiger
gonna
walks up to make this putt. Mike
okay.
just goes.
Hey guys,
$2
it's
steak.
okay. Molinari's gonna bogey it, and we'll get back with him too. So they have a couple really good ones. Flair does like a huge knee drop that I really appreciated. Crowd's clearly on Randy's side. They're pro Savage and pro Elizabeth.
Dude, he had such big pops.
Dude,
Oh,
they
man.
They love that. WWE's first couple.
I would say this, Randy. So I have to compare this to like newer wrestlers. So person who throws terrible punches is Shane McMahon, right? Just like the weakest
baby,
looking.
they look like babies.
Yeah.
Like you're fighting.
It's
your,
like
five-year-old
when
brother.
you're in a dream and you want to punch somebody really hard in a dream and you can't. But Randy throws some stiff punches, and I don't know if like
fast punches, too.
dude, and they were good. They landed well. I don't know if there was actually animosity between the two, or if
Probably not.
that's just the punch that Randy throws. But it was very good. So let's fast forward to when Rick starts bleeding. Now,
Every single match.
I know.
He
So I
bleeds.
knew it was going to be coming, and I will say it was the one bad spot of the match. They kind of botched it a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, now Rick's bleeding. So they're outside the ring. I think Randy was trying to go off the ring post.
So I was
down
watching
onto
that. It cut on my when I was watching.
Yeah.
it,
So
it
so
cut away
Aaron
from that.
Aaron
I
gave
had
you
time to
guys
talk about that.
Aaron gave Cookie and Tolbert the
Sorry.
wrong link. It went to this glitchy little video.
Sorry.
I had recommended to them they follow the Twitter link at $2steak_ that Travis had tweeted at us because it was broken up into two parts and it was the full match. But so Aaron fucked up there. But anyway, so Randy goes off the ring post, tries to do like I don't even know, some kind of slam onto Rick, and Rick just like wasn't in the right spot. It was the one bad spot of the match,
Yeah.
and then Rick walks 5 feet, smashes his face on the
Gotta get this
railing, and I'm like, oh yeah, now this is where Rick's bleeding.
Well, he did a Flair flop. That's what he does. He'll take a
Okay.
hit and then walk a couple steps and then flop.
All right, so Randy does an awesome elbow drop, tries to pin Rick. Mr. Perfect interferes. This is when it starts getting a little heated. Eventually, Elizabeth comes out, and the crowd goes wild. Go ahead.
There's a young Shane McMahon that's trying
What?
to hold him back. Did
Yes,
you see that?
yeah,
There's a
I
young
thought that
Shane
was him. I
McMahon.
wasn't sure. Now,
Yeah.
I made a note. So Elizabeth comes out, crowd's going wild. They're doing this thing where they're like, no, you can't come out, blah blah blah. Stay. And so she goes ringside, and that's fine. And like they're trying to like remove her or like convince her, and I get it. That's good, but it got to the point where it's super distracting, and so it was like I put like director production issue because I was getting anxious because in the bottom corner it's just guys walking back and forth and like trying to convince Elizabeth not to be ringside, and then they kept shooting to Elizabeth, but then the guys kept walking in front of the camera shot, and it was
very chaotic.
It was just way too much, and it actually brought me out of it for a second. I was like, oh god, because it was 6 dudes. If 6 dudes wanted to remove Miss Elizabeth from the ringside, they'd fucking pick her up and take her out. So I wish they wouldn't have done that as aggressively.
I think that it added to the chaos of
I think a smaller dose. Like it definitely could have.
I can see that.
And or if they just like stop fucking. I'm sorry, Tolbert just blew the biggest fucking smoke cloud, and like it's hazy. I can barely see Aaron right now.
Tolbert's not the stoner character. Not the stoner character.
Yeah, talk about distracting.
Where's my inhaler? I think I'm dying over here.
All right, so let's fast forward. Randy wins with a roll up on Rick, and this is where you see Ric Flair's pale ass.
And you know what's kind of crazy? He's the face in this matchup. He's the good guy.
Yeah.
Wins by holding the tights. He pulls the tights at the end, where you can kind of see that Randy Savage would do anything. He would break the rules. He would kind of get out of his own good like intentions because Elizabeth meant that much to him. That's kind of what I gathered from that.
Yeah,
like, he would break the rules.
That's the story.
Just for Elizabeth.
And ringside pyro. Now, they were shotting them up, but the one explodes about 5 feet from their face.
You can tell they were kind of starting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're shooting up. They're supposed to blow up probably like 30 feet in the air. And, like, it blows up at the top rope. And I was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it scares you.
What was that? So, pretty good ending, I'd say.
It's a good matchup.
I really appreciated the match. They had really good post-match promos. You don't get to see the centerfold because Randy won, and Randy, does his Randy thing, and actually,
I'm gonna get rid of the centerfold.
And it actually, it's funny because like when you see Ric Flair gifs online, like the one is from this match, whereas like blonde hair's straight up, and on the one side it's like bloody,
so
like hair gel, and I don't know, it was a really good match, really good everything. I really enjoyed it. Way better than Von Erich.
Better than Von Erich. Okay. Noted. No more Von Erichs until the Von Erich episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which is coming up a couple weeks from now.
That should be interesting.
I think that it was an interesting matchup. I really enjoyed it. Ric Flair, a very rare appearance. Ric Flair maybe only, I don't even know if he was in WWF for a year. He might have been in there for a year. This was in between time. They didn't want to renew his contract for WCW, or they didn't want to pay him what he was getting paid. And he decided to take his belt and go to WWF.
And he won. They make a quick mention of it. He won the Royal Rumble from the first position. Is
Dude,
that right?
a very epic. And this year during the Royal Rumble, I thought that Charlotte had a chance of doing what his dad did, going in at number one. Or her dad. Well,
actually,
yeah, what her dad did and go in from number one and run the gamut of the whole Royal Rumble. A very, very cool build-up for Ric Flair in this.
One more final note about this. So from the beginning promos to the ending promos, it was just the intensity that they portrayed like in their characters and like the speaking and all that sort of stuff. I was into it, and it really kind of brought the emotion, both obviously from them and then like for me, like you're kind of excited. And not that I know we're not allowed to talk about new wrestling, but way better than pretty much every Raw promo.
Yeah,
that you see.
Absolutely. Dude,
like
nothing compares to
like
those
just
old
let
promos, man.
just let them be characters and yell into the mic.
Have you guys seen Mojo Rawley's promos? Those are amazing.
They're terrible.
He got like the chlamydia on his eye.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all
what's
about.
all
Anyways, no, we're not supposed to talk about new wrestling.
Sorry.
So, Mike was bitching to me this week about not having his own very special segment because Cookie just like
out of nowhere.
He took out of nowhere created the Cookie rating system. Tolbert, starting off, with the haiku.
I did not ask for that either.
That was gifted upon you.
Not the stoner character. Mike, give us the social media update for the week. Tell us, because Mike, as our Twitter person, who did you tweet at this week, and how many followers did we get?
I like the evolution of this.
Yeah. So actually, let me pull it up. So I tweeted on WrestleMania night. I tweeted at a steakhouse. They said Easter's coming, blah blah blah. And I said, "Fuck Easter, it's WrestleMania."
My God!
So we did that.
Don't tell people to fuck Easter.
We're up to 13 followers.
Oh my God! Thank you, Jasmine, and everybody else who has followed us.
The one is like a realty company out of Texas. I think that was an accidental follow. We got
That must be my buddy.
yeah. We've had one retweet. Which was
by some random.
I tweeted at the Pat No. That guy just liked one of our things.
Oh.
I tweeted at Pat McAfee a picture of, because he actually tweeted the Ric Flair GIF.
Okay.
I said, "Hey man, WrestleMania 8. We do a review on that this week. Check us out." So yeah, we're up to 13 followers.
Who retweeted us? Some rando.
Yeah, it was a random guy. I don't know him, so I appreciate that. Hopefully he listens, and thank you, Mr. Random Man.
Random man.
But yeah, so if people could follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @2 $steak _
There we go.
and I will try to continue tweeting random things. Oh, I guess so. I trolled. Becky tweeted at Lacey Evans about basically how desperate she is for attention, and I replied and I said, "We're trolling for clicks, and we're not even that desperate." Did not get as much activity as I thought it would.
I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was great. I thought that was going to be the best tweet, and I didn't even get one like.
Not one like.
No.
Not one like.
Yeah, and all three of you fuckers follow us on Twitter, and I didn't get one like.
I never get on Twitter, and Tolbert doesn't know how to use on Twitter.
I started Twitter just to follow Mike. I'm trying to figure out Twitter. I pretty much just started following Sarah Logan.
Here's how Twitter works.
Sarah.
Here's how Twitter works. If I post something, hit the heart.
Yeah.
Or hit the reply.
I'll figure it out.
No, sorry, heart's Instagram. I don't know. I'm still learning the Instagram thing. But yeah, just retweet it.
Aren't you $2 Tolbert?
I am.
$2
Tolbert.
I love it.
Number $2 Tolbert.
Wait, is your picture you smoking?
No, it's a wonderful picture of
A rugby picture.
It's a rugby picture. Me and a scrum cap looking angry because we were losing. That was the first match against Clayton 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good. You were able to take a great picture instead of making a tackle.
I wish it was a picture from this. No, it was between kicks, but I wish we had photos from yesterday's game because we just showed up and fucked.
Yeah, thanks
shit
JJ's
up.
wife for not coming yesterday.
Yeah,
I just love showing up and fucking shit up and leaving. It was great.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get back to wrestling.
You don't see me crying. You don't see me down on my knees begging about it. I go in there and take care of business, and business for me and me only, and that's the way I want it to stay.
All right, so our second match of the evening, a phenomenal matchup for Cookie, the Cookie section. Cookie, you had Bruiser Brody, a subject we were talking about earlier, against my boy, T to the Fizzunkizle, Terry Funk.
Let's get funky like a monkey.
Sorry, that's Tolbert.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I've been watching a lot of Dusty Rhodes, guys. I apologize for that first off. Let's talk about Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody is a mountain of a man. He is what I think a feral human being would look like if he got into his 30s. Because that's exactly. He comes in. He has a vest made of, I don't know what it is. Fur, some kind of fur. I don't know what it
Beard
is.
trimming.
But yeah. Looks like he hasn't shaved in over years, like 8 years, and he's swinging a fucking chain around his head. Like I said, a feral human being. And then you have Terry Funk. Terry Funk.
Telly.
Yeah, I love it. The crowd was behind Terry all the way, but for the first, I think, 5 to 8 minutes, it's all Bruiser Brody. He is just destroying Terry Funk. He is beating this man down, and you just hear Teddy.
Well,
I love him so much.
I appreciated this because Terry Funk, in our last weeks, he's kind of like this greasy old man with long hair and ratty looking.
This is a younger
He's
one.
super
Much
clean
younger.
cut.
Yes.
He's just like prim and proper, Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Until
Like
he
80s Terry.
And thank God there were no chairs that he could throw.
Well,
Oh, no.
Wait, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I think
not
Terry
as
Funk
many. Let's just say
learned
not
from
as
Bruiser
many.
Brody. That's
Is
what
that
I
what
think.
it is? There was some more improper uses of tables, using them like chairs.
Right, where you just throw them at the face.
Throw them at the people.
I'm sorry, I watched this match today yesterday.
And I think that's how a table works.
It's just so funny. It's so great. Watch this match. If you watch one match from this week, watch Cookie's match.
Yes, absolutely. There's more biting. Terry Funk.
I was going to say,
Bruiser Brody
Terry Funk
on the
was
forehead.
prim and proper until he bites Bruiser Brody's head.
Right.
And I'm convinced that Terry Funk must have hepatitis C.
No. Abdullah the Butcher definitely does.
Yeah, he definitely
Terry
does.
Funk, I would hope not.
I would hope not either. But
For the sake of this podcast.
how many times has he been? Like, who knows what the Sheik has done in his life? Who knows what Bruiser
God.
Brody did in his life? I mean,
And I bet I can find a clip of Terry biting Abdullah the Butcher in the face.
yeah, exactly. First thing that comes up is probably 20 pictures of it. Let's see, what else did I make some notes about?
Can you make a note about your notes?
Oh, they're cute.
His notes are on
a
rose-colored...
He's got a red rose and a white rose on his grocery list.
It's
of
my
notes.
shopping list. All right, I got a bunch of those. Like they're magnets, and they're put on my refrigerator. This is the first piece of paper I could find, and I put my notes on here, and I can't read my own handwriting.
Tell me
And they're
about
beautiful.
Terry Funk's ear. Like 5 minutes
Oh,
in.
God.
That was the other note that I wanted to talk about. Why is his ear bleeding? I don't know.
He
Like,
got punched in the ear
It
somehow.
popped like a fucking
There
tomato,
is,
man.
There's a chair shot.
There's no way he
that
bladed
Brody delivers to him. He just takes the chair sideways and kind of jabs him with the edge of it.
Is that what?
So was it
That's
his ear or was it
what
his head
busted
right
his-
above it?
No,
It
it
was
looked
his
like his
ear.
ear.
I think
Dude,
I've detached my ear in a rugby match before. It doesn't take much to do it, and you bleed profusely. And I think he caught the top of that chair, and it just like pulled down, popped his ear off a little bit. But he is
So much
He's
blood.
leaking
well.
from
Then
his
Brody
ear.
keeps kicking it after he
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
does
He's
it.
Bruiser fucking Brody.
It's like he's just a shark and he sees red. He just
Oh,
starts
dude.
kicking him in it like,
Kicking
oh yeah,
the
this is,
shit out of him.
yeah,
Well,
like
I mean, no, Bruiser Brody's boots were like super. What were they? Were they cowboy boots? Were they fur? They were really thick.
They were fur-ish.
they were furish, and it looks like he took the spur off just because he liked Terry Funk.
So
I think if he didn't like him, he would have kept the spur on.
I think that they were cowboy boots that he like DIY'd some like fur on. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, they were like stripper cowboy boots almost.
It was a little weird, but it was the '80s, so
Yeah, it was
different,
80s,
different
man.
time.
And he
different
rocked
time,
it, man.
different time.
I wouldn't
He did.
fuck with him.
I wouldn't either. And another person I wouldn't mess with, Stan Hansen.
Stan Hansen?
There was a Stan Hansen
returns,
appearance.
yes.
He made an appearance. I was like, it's Stan Hansen.
The return
Well, no,
of
so
Stan Hansen.
I didn't notice it, and then I hear the Japanese comment.
Oh, Stan Hansen.
Yeah, he says Stan Hansen. I was like, wait, what? Because like normally it's just background, the Japanese commentary for your matches, and then all of a sudden it's Stan Hansen, and you're like, what? Where?
Stan Hansen comes out and he's in
Fucking
Bruiser
10-gallon
Brody's
hat.
corner. I thought he was going to be in Terry Funk's corner. He's in Bruiser Brody's.
Bruiser Brody's.
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Because Terry Funk's the Texan or whatever. Stan
Okay,
Hansen's
so
got
the
giant hat.
person who comes out for Terry Funk, the guy, the bald guy, Terry Funk's older brother, Dory Funk.
I
Yeah.
thought that was Dory Funk.
So that was Dory Funk. Dory Funk comes out, who looks just like a guy that you would see at the Baptist church, just like, you know, taking up the
fellowship hall.
offering. Just some bald dude coming up. He's like, "Hey, I saw your daddy this weekend at the cookout." So Dory comes in and tries to save Terry, and then it becomes this big scrum, this big mess of like Terry and Dory against my man Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody. So it just kind of
It devolved. It devolved into chairs
and
and
it was
tables.
so much fun.
You
though.
know what? But there were no chairs thrown. It was a chair swinging contest is what it looked
Yeah.
like. Just going back and forth.
Terry threw about 15 at the end, the very
Yeah.
Oh,
end.
did the very end?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Maybe I missed
We
that
kept
one.
going, like,
A lot of
Damn it,
chairs.
Terry White!
Damn it, Terry Wire.
Because Tolbert and I were like sitting there, and we're like, Jesus Christ, how many
Like-
chairs is he like throwing into the ring?
And there's like he actually starts taking people's seats. At this point. He's like,
Just pushing them out of the way.
it's at the very, very end.
I think I was focused on Bruiser Brody just swinging
Yeah,
his
Bruiser
chair
was just
left and
insane.
right, and I was like, he's gonna hit somebody, and it's not gonna be a wrestler.
Dude, they mentioned that in the Dark Side of the Ring. That first episode is how he would swing his chain. It would literally come of inches in front of people's face.
People would
or
run
he would
away.
actually, he would actually like hit people.
But
I'm sure he had a technique.
But going back to
he
the
was
Dark Side of the
scary.
Ring thing, like apparently he was like the nicest human being in the world.
Dude,
Yeah.
like his out of character like interviews on that Dark Side of the Ring, I was like, this dude just seems like a regular guy.
Frank Goodish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
regular
and
dude.
then he was like, "Yeah, can we just not refer to me as Frank? Can we make sure I'm Bruiser Brody?"
Yeah, he's like, I got-
Actually, wait a minute.
who are you?
Is this the same guy?
It seemed like a good, like, I would love to have him, like, lead the, like, family birthday parties for his son, you know, just
Bringing
like,
out the cake.
yeah, just regular guy.
Carve the turkey at Thanksgiving.
All right, who
fingernails,
wants
start
the breast?
Takes the turkey carver to his forehead. sorry.
Sorry, flashbacks, guys. Flashbacks.
Sorry.
I thought I saw Abdullah.
Abdullah!
So the match ends in a disqualification. And
Right.
That's the only reason why it's going to get a lower cookie rating than,
Okay.
than it should have.
Okay.
Because it ends in a DQ because I believe Stan Hansen was the first one to interfere.
Damn, tobacco chewing.
Tobacco.
Stan Hansen,
Tobacco.
man, I
Tobacco.
swear. So this match is gonna get 3 cookies.
3 cookies.
Three
all right.
cookies. They'll
Not
get 3
3.1.
Not
or-
3.1. It's just gonna get
Just
3
3 cookies.
It's solid 3 cookies because I enjoyed the match throughout.
It's entertaining.
It's very entertaining. Very
So
entertaining.
I'm really excited to find a match that Cookie actually rates like 4.5 cookies or above. I'm really excited. Hopefully
It's
next
coming.
week.
Wait, didn't he give the Tiger Mask? He gave Tiger Mask
Oh,
4
shit,
and a half.
he did.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Tiger Mask
I'm
was
sorry.
a great
He
match.
didn't give 5 cookies though.
No, not 5.
Not
5.
I want you to get Cookie a 1 cookie match.
Oh, I've got one coming up.
Oh no!
Because Kerry Von Erich, only a bite of a cookie.
What? No.
It was terrible.
All right.
You did
anyway.
say that, didn't you?
A bite of a cookie.
Came rolling into Memphis, TWA. Tell all the ladies, handsome Jimmy's on his way. I'm a rocker and a roller, a little funky Jew. I was raised by a gypsy, you know, handsome's cool.
And for our final matchup of the evening, the high spot, Tolbert, I assign to you maybe the greatest professional wrestling match in all of professional wrestling, a technical marvel, a masterpiece between Dusty Rhodes and Jimmy Valiant.
Oh, yeah, greatest ever. There's not much wrestling that goes on.
No, I think there was like maybe like one hold.
So, yeah,
Tell me
like-
a little bit about Dusty Rhodes and Jimmy Valiant. What did you see, and how much did you giggle?
I giggled a lot. I was belly laughing, actually. I asked you, what year was this? 82?
I think it was like 82.
82. Had a really cool look to it. When you pull it up, you're like, all right, this is old school. Usually that old 80s footage is really bright, and you can see the crowd. This was like, let me get artsy here. It had some dark tones to it.
Did you notice what promotion it was?
Was it NWA?
No,
Yeah.
it was WWF.
Oh, it was WWF.
Yeah, didn't you hear who was on the mic? Vinnie Mac was on the
yeah.
mic.
Vinnie Mac on the mic.
Vince McMahon
So-
was on the mic, and that was in Madison Square Garden. I thought
didn't
I
pick up
assigned
on-
you originally. I thought it was a Georgia Championship Wrestling thing.
Yeah.
But when I watched the link, it was actually WWF. Sorry, guys.
I didn't pay much attention to the commentary.
I just noticed that it was Vince McMahon.
Yeah. But yeah, it had a really cool look to it. They had like a darker colors on the ring and stuff like that. And,
Which
they had
contrasted
the-
well
yeah,
with
yeah.
the wrestlers.
Yeah,
who
and they had
are-
the lights. They had the house lights brought down really low. So it was just like a cool look. I was like, oh shit, this looks badass. And then all that's ruined. All that artsy stuff is ruined when Dusty Rhodes comes out in his tie-dye T-shirt. And
Yeah, man.
is that his original hair color?
Please tell me it is.
Does he bleach that?
I'm pretty sure he bleaches it.
Jesus
But can you
Christ,
describe the haircut?
Right. All right. So it's
I don't
tight.
know what that is. That's
It has to be natural.
Dude, that is-
you
it's
can't
a
get
perm.
that.
That is
kind
a
of,
fucking 80s perm.
Yeah,
It's a pullet.
It's tight. It's like
A
is that
pullet.
natural or is that a
Perm
perm?
Yeah,
it is tight.
Not quite
It
an
is
afro,
bright.
but
It is,
It's a pullet, a perm mullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Jimmy Valiant comes out first.
Jimmy
He
Valiant-
also has a perm mullet.
Yes, and
yeah, he's got trashy blonde
he
hair.
looks like Kevin Nash's illegitimate father.
Yeah,
that
okay,
he
yeah.
never saw.
Illegitimate father.
Yeah, well, he looks like he wasn't around to raise Kevin Nash. That's what he looks like. I
I'm
thought
going
he
out
was
for
just
a pack
like
of cigarettes, baby.
Never came back.
And then he'd jump on his
look
Harley.
at man.
But he's young in this. You just showed me some videos.
Yeah, so
and
he was known as handsome Jimmy Valiant. This was before the Boogie Woogie.
Well,
days.
he was pretty handsome. The videos you showed me, not so handsome.
Yeah, not so good.
He has a beautiful beard.
Beautiful.
Anyway, he comes out to mixed applause and boos, not too much.
I think he's a heel. At this
Yeah, and then Dusty comes out, Mr. Dusty Rhodes, to huge applause. Strutting, he's in a cut-off sleeve tie-dye T-shirt,
Right.
spandex, high-waisted tights. Yeah. Both of them look like a couple hip girls down at the cafe downtown.
Yeah, the
high-waisted
trunks.
spandex. And Dusty immediately starts to strut around. I mean, he just starts strutting. I think he throws a little chicken dance maneuver.
Yeah, he's a little winged out. He
right behind him. He gets right behind Jimmy, and he's doing this little chicken dance.
He's got the weird finger
which
thing.
I imitated through warm-ups the whole time yesterday. And yeah, he's strutting. He's flamboyant, to say the least.
He's something.
He's not the prettiest guy. He's either fucks a lot or doesn't fuck at all. You know
I think he fucks too much.
Yeah, that's a face only a mother could love. But wrestled for years, great wrestler. He was a champion a few times, and
so Dusty, I think, is more style versus technical.
Well,
He's all gimmick.
The commentators make mention. He's like, I don't think either one of these guys are known for their wrestling IQ or whatever.
Yeah, because there's not much wrestling to talk
it's
about.
more just like
this
pushing,
match.
shoving.
And they're, I mean, I can appreciate that style, where they come out and strut, talk shit. They really work the crowd a lot. Jimmy does some great heel work.
At one point, Dusty slaps Jimmy on the ass.
Had him on the fanny.
So there's a lot of just taunting Jimmy, walking around, doing working the crowd, and Dusty just strutting. And they finally start, and bell rings start in, and just a lot of grabs, some punches, really old school. Grab, punch you. I'm gonna throw you. I'm gonna. Oh, no, you're not going to get me off the ropes. I'm going to stop and strut around, stuff like that. It is great. And it ends with a pretty quick pinfall, isn't it?
Yeah, super fast.
It was like a 9-minute match.
Yeah, super quick.
Can we talk about his bionic elbow?
It's beautiful.
He does it. He rolls his
arms
like that and then throws that elbow. One of the best
solid match. I'd watch it if you wanted to see some really old school stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's
definitely got that old school flair that I remember from when I was a kid. It was
not long at all either.
And, a lot of these characters just like, oh, look at me, watch me strut, watch me move.
It's larger than life.
Yeah, it's great though.
So in honor of Dusty Rhodes, you're gonna have to deliver your weekly haiku in a Dusty Rhodes lisp. So please deliver your weekly haiku as Dusty Rhodes.
I don't know if I can do it quite like Cookie can. He's got it down.
I'll read it for you.
Strut on there, Dusty. Wow, such high-waisted spandex. Valiant Rhodes fucked. What?
Okay, so do it in normal voice because that was terrible.
Do it one more time.
What, you want me to do it? All right. Strut on there, Dusty. Wow, such high-waisted spandex. Valiant Rhodes. Well, it didn't work out, but the syllables.
It's just a poem. It's just a poem.
Because Valiant Rhodes, they definitely fucked. All they did is strut. Probably do a lot of cocaine and
oh my god. Anyway, that is the worst haiku we've had yet.
That gets zero cookies. Zero cookies for that haiku.
I told you no more recording on Sunday morning.
Oh my god.
This is not a good time.
It took him 20 minutes to write that.
Yeah, he's still writing it now. He didn't realize that he just delivered.
It was their names. The syllables don't work out. And
Jimmy Valiant.
You write one.
I do it on the spot. Freestyle one.
Freestyle haiku right now.
Dusty Jimmy.
Someone.
Wow, that's the first line.
Okay.
Dusty Jimmy. Wow.
I'm gonna hear shit about this all week long
from our 6 Twitter followers.
Well, no, from you guys.
We're 4 of the 6 Twitter followers.
Yeah. Fun fact about Dusty Rhodes: Gold Dust's father.
And
Cody Rhodes, AE Dub.
AE
Dub. AE Dub.
It's a family tradition.
It's not. He's not Bo Cephas. He's not Hank Williams' son.
Look, when he came out though, I was literally like, "Oh yeah, that's definitely Gold Dust's dad."
Yeah, looks just like him.
It looked just like him. It's the deep eyes, dark eye sockets.
Goldust has some of those strutting moves too, as well.
Yeah, they both do, and I think
Cody, they're flamboyant, just like
Cody's a little underrated when it comes to his kind of pageantry, like his father. And there's a match I will probably assign in the future to one of you guys. Hold on, I got a burp.
Let it rip.
That was weak. If you're gonna pause the podcast for a burp, you gotta let that thing fly.
That was weaker than my haiku.
There's an I Quit match between him and it's a First Blood match between him and Tully Blanchard. and they tease the bionic elbow, and he does it for like 15 minutes where he flinches his elbow out and like pulls it until he's like, ah! And then like the match keeps going. He flinches it again. Like he's just very good at working the crowd and getting everybody behind what he's doing. All right, so another episode of $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast, has come to a close. Guys, I think that we've had a very fun match. Now Mike can go watch his golf, and Tolbert can go watch his
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Which is on.
So, next week, boys, we have got some really interesting matchups. Mike, you are going to have a Chicago street fight between the Nasty Boys and Max Payne and his tag team partner, Bang Bang, Cactus Jack.
Oh, you son of a bitch. God damn it.
Cookie,
You're allowed to
got
watch
a
it.
match
All right.
between the Great Muta and
Oh.
Jinsei.
Ginseng?
Yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Chai tea?
We'll see.
Tolbert,
Wait, what?
Tolbert, I'm sorry about this matchup. You've got a matchup
Cactus
from the
Jack?
Great American Bash 1992. You've got
gonna
Sting
love
versus Vader.
Tolbert's got a rock
Never
hard
mind.
boner right now.
Forget what I said. All right, so this is very special to me because
It's an acceptance speech.
as a young child, I'll save it for next week.
I want
I'll save it
you.
for next
I want
week.
you to actually work on your haiku for that.
Oh,
This one-
I will. I'm not just waking up.
Come with
out of
bars,
bed rolling.
multiple
Oh, no, I
poetry.
will write a full poem for that.
And it's in honor
love
of your first try that I gave you
you.
such a
Thank
special
you.
matchup between Sting and Huda Man,
Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader. It's time.
It's time.
You're gonna have I fully expect you to have "It's time" to be put as 2 of your syllables in your haiku next week.
He said he's writing a full poem.
All right.
Yeah. You know what?
It's
Fuck
time.
the haiku.
Actually, I'll give our audience a little tease. When I was a very young child, I sat ringside in my hometown and watched Sting and Vader duke it out.
And he's gonna
He's about to cry now.
The entire
It's
time he's
like,
gonna have a tear in
yeah.
his eye.
Of course.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week on $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast.